up, guys? Welcome to this week's episode of our podcast, Just Us Being Us. I am your host, Adela Relentless, and I'm here with my co-host.
I am Bugby, and I am obnoxious.
I am Red Rebecca, and I am questionable.
And I am not the one that does not belong.
Yeah, I have been fighting big burnout here, mostly in the last week, just going through all the changes that I've been through, and with the Christmas stress and Thanksgiving stress that, is now over, but, yeah, I'm the same way. I have good intentions of doing things when I get home from work, and I just don't.
Don't. Because I'll come home and be like, I'm gonna, straighten up the house. It's gonna be a nice, relaxing time, and do all my hobbies. And no,
There's been a basket of laundry sitting on my couch that just needs folded and put away. It's been there since last weekend.
yeah,
That's
and,
like,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry. I wish that I had answers of what to do to make, this easier. But one thing that has made a huge difference in my life here recently is I am on Neil's Discord for, people who appreciate, starring out the other
okay,
characters
yeah.
that he did. And I'm in the tier 3 chat, and it's all about found family.
Yeah.
And just creating connections with people. And I never thought that I would be, the type of person that could bond so easily over people like in an online environment. But I'm on that chat like every single day. We're all just like hyping each other up. And that has made a difference. Like if I'm feeling down, I'll just kind of go in there and be like, "Hey guys, how are you today?"
Yeah.
And just like start conversations with people, and it's been pretty nice.
Nice.
That's always
Yeah.
good.
I mean, honestly, like the welcome I got when I first joined that tier 3 chat, because I joined after you did, and like it was really surprising for like an online community, because normally like
It's been ingrained in my head like stay away.
yeah,
Stay away from
yeah,
online
yeah,
communities.
exactly. And so I was really shocked, like being part of his tier 3 chat. Like, granted, I'm not very active in there just because, life. But whenever I do pop in there, like people are so welcoming, so nice. Like, I mean, it's fantastic. The community that has been built through him is just amazing. Like,
Yeah,
it's so
I agree.
genuine, so kind. Like,
Yeah.
I love being part of that because I'm the same way. I share the same viewpoints. Like, don't be a jerk. Like, it's that simple.
That's not the rule. But
Well, I was trying not to
mean,
say the word on the podcast.
I
That
know.
is the actual thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it somewhat fairly PG here.
There's just that's not the rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's not the word. That's not the line.
It's not the line, no. But yeah, but I mean, the concept's the same.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just be a good person. It's
Yeah.
not that hard. It doesn't
And-
cost you anything.
And reach out to those who might be having a hard time.
Yes.
And don't be afraid to reach out if you're having a hard time.
Also
too.
true.
There's one thing that I struggle really badly with is I will self-isolate. And I don't
Yeah.
always do it on purpose, but I'm really bad at reaching out to people, or if people reach out to me, I will see their messages and I'll be like, "Oh, I can't respond to that right now." And I will leave it, and then I'll see like, "Oh, they messaged me. Oh, now it's kind of an awkward time to respond because it's been too long." And I will not respond, or if I'm going through a tough time, I will just shut down. I
Yeah.
won't talk to anyone. I will just like put my phone to the side. I will stop responding. And I don't know why I do it, but it's just a big shutdown for me. And I just won't respond. I'm just like, nope, I'm just gonna sit here in my own little world and I'm just gonna spiral a little bit.
I mean, that kind of makes sense because I go through that too. So I go through what I call my social isolation. That's what I call it. Because as we all know, I'm the unfortunate extrovert of the group, with me being an ambivert. Um, for those of you new, because we went over this in the last episode, ambiverts are just the in between of introvert and extrovert without going into too much detail. So with me, I am the most extroverted one out of our group of friends, and I can make friends pretty easily. Like,
Yep.
I mean, some of the friends that I've made in my life are pretty shocking. Like even Bugby, like half the time it's just like, how is this even? How
Uh-huh.
are you friends with this person? Like,
That's true.
yeah. And so obviously I'm not going to drop any names, but yeah, I mean the people I've made friends with in my life, it can be kind of shocking how I'm friends with some of these people. But um my biggest thing about it is that I wind up going through these phases where I don't want to talk to anybody. And
Mhm.
it's not that I'm upset. It's not that anybody's did anything wrong. It's not that I don't like being around my friends or my people. It's just I go through this phase where I just want to be left alone because I am so social. Like, one of my sales guys one time on a trip made a comment because I was sitting there on my phone and I was responding and I was going through multiple different apps, responding to different people on different apps. And he was like,
Probably me on at least 3 of those apps.
yes, right. Yeah, probably you on 3 of those apps. But it's one of those things where he looked at that and he goes, for somebody who's so antisocial, he goes, you're extremely social. He's like, I just watched you flip through 7 different apps talking to different people. And I'm like, yeah, I was like, it just kind of happens because, I'll get the text messages, the Facebook messengers, the Instagrams, the Snapchats, the TikToks, like all that stuff. And so I just go through and I'm responding to people. Well, because of that kind of thing, there gets a point where I just get exhausted. And it's not just for like a couple hours. When I get to that social isolation point in my life, I like disappear for like a month. Like where I'm just like, I'm only going to respond if you need me. Like if you're just talking random stuff, I probably will not say anything because at this point, I just want to do something for me that I won't really bother like responding or talking to people because I'm so exhausted being the extrovert that I wind up going towards my introverted side where I'm just like, leave me alone. Um so a lot of the times like I will wind up muting our chats or, and leaving it to only if I mention that the notification comes through
Yep.
just because I am just so exhausted in being the extrovert. And a lot of times I've noticed that that happens to me during the holidays because I have so many holiday parties to go to. I have so many family functions. I have things to do with friends. And it's just, I'm just so in full extroverted mode that I just get wiped. And then so come like January and February, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna people. Like I'm not gonna do it. And so I wind up in a weird way shutting down and kind of but at the same time it's not the shutdown where I guess like I'm never there for somebody if they need me, which is why like you can still at me and I'll get the notification. But it is a shutdown where I don't put in that effort to go talk and hang out with people because I need that break because I'm not a true extrovert. Like I'm with ambiverts, we lean towards introverted side. We can just adjust to an extroverted mentality when we're put in those situations. So during the holidays, having to be full extroverted mode pretty much the entire like 2-3 months,
It's exhausting.
it's very exhausting for me. And so it's one of those things that when that break does come after the new year, I'm always like, I'm going to go bury myself in whatever video game makes me feel happy right now. If you need me, don't. If you do really, really need me, call or text me, like, or at me or whatever, because at that point I struggle to keep up and then it just adds to like a mental like negative mental health kind of thing. And
For,
Yeah.
for me, it's so like growing up, my again, I'm not gonna go detail into it. Childhood wasn't the best for emotional growth, and so I wasn't able to like really tell anyone like what was kind of going on with my emotions. Like if I was having a tough time, it was more the way that I handled it best was just to internalize everything and be as little of a nuisance as I could.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I do have, a tough time, if I'm struggling, my immediate reaction is don't be a burden.
Yeah.
Do not be a burden on anyone else.
Yeah. I
So
kind of
what
have
I'm
that same reaction.
and I know it's not healthy. I know
Yeah.
it's bad. I my husband, he's able to like see those signs in me and he's like, "No, we're going to sit down. We're going to talk about what's going on with you." It's like I'm not going to let you, you know, form
Internalize
this
it.
shell. I'm not
Mhm.
going to let you, like bring
Yeah.
it further in because it's never good. But I just don't think about reaching out to people saying, "Hey, I'm having a hard time. Can we talk?" Because I don't
Yeah.
want to put that on someone else.
Mhm.
Because to me, if they start to, react like if I start to get pity in return, then I start to feel really awkward. I'm like, I don't want pity. I don't want you to feel bad for me.
Yeah.
I just need an ear. I need
Yeah.
someone to
Need to
listen.
vent.
Because then if they start to feel sad, I start to feel pressure on me that I have to comfort them in
Yeah,
return
because you made them
because I
sad.
made them sad.
Mhm. No,
And
I'm the exact same way, so I understand what you're saying.
it's and so I have a really bad habit of just shutting everyone out because I'm like, nope, I'm gonna deal with this myself, and so I'm just gonna just not respond because then sometimes I'll get to this point where I can't keep the mask up. I can't keep the
Mhm.
I'm bubbly Rebecca, I'm
Mhm.
happy all the time. I can't keep that up anymore. And if people see that start to slip, they're gonna ask questions, and I don't want that. So then I just shut everyone. I just
Yeah.
shut everyone out and just shut everyone away because I'm like, no, I am okay.
Yeah.
I absolutely am.
Yeah.
Yeah, versus me, it's just pure mental exhaustion. What you see with me is what you get. Like and you guys are very good at recognizing like, okay, she's burnt out. Like,
Yeah.
because my fuse gets real short. I have even less patience for stupidity, and I'm like one little thing sets me off. Like it's just how I get. But at the same time, you guys are also understanding of how busy everything is for me, that when I do disappear, as long as you can get a hold of me, you two
Yeah.
are like, she's alive, she's fine. I don't
Yep.
gotta worry about her. And obviously you guys know, like, if I need something, I will check in with you because, as selfless as I am.
I remember there was one time not too long ago, I had asked you a question and or we were talking and then I asked you a question and you saw it but you didn't respond. And I figured you were probably busy with work, but I still hadn't heard from you like by the afternoon. And so I messaged you again. I was like, "Hello? Hey, hi, hello?" And you're like, "I'm so sorry, work got busy." I'm like, "No, I figured as much. I just wanted to make sure you weren't dead."
Yeah. Because like normally, like even in my burnout phases, like if you at me, like, and I see the question, I'm normally like, I'll respond right away. It might not be the most eloquent response, but
Yeah.
it will be either yes, no, whatever answer you need to know. Um, but in that case, I actually had not responded to her, and I just dropped off the face of the earth, and she was like, "Oh, this is odd for you." Like
Yeah. And it was on Messenger,
Mhm.
just our chat on Messenger. So I could see that she saw the message
Yeah,
and then she just which is it's very rare for her to see it and not respond.
yeah,
So I figured something probably pulled her away for whatever
yeah.
reason. But
Which Bugby actually experienced my life at work a couple
did.
weeks ago, and she actually saw firsthand
Yeah.
why I disappear during the day.
Yeah.
Like why I have an office. I have no idea.
For me to work in when I go
yeah,
there.
yeah, apparently
Because
because
I was in there. People kept coming in. Where's Adela? I don't know. She keeps disappearing.
which one of my sales guys was like, "Yeah, she does that."
Yeah, she does that a lot.
It's just one of the, like, because I get pulled into so many meetings, so many different directions that like
Yeah.
I never see the inside of my office. It's always the inside of somebody else's office or a conference room. Like it's how it is. And it's kind of funny because like I'm very particular about who I have meetings with in my office because my office is such a private space to me that I'm like it's like letting somebody into my house, as weird
Yeah.
as it sounds. Like I have this weird stigma mentality about it. So a lot of the times I'm very like, let's just go meet in your office because I'm just like I don't like it when you're in my space.
Yeah.
It makes me uncomfortable. Not that anybody I work with makes me uncomfortable. It's just more of like like I feel like my office is my place to go to like unwind and kind of just bring myself down from like whatever meeting I just stepped out of, or it's kind of like my sanctuary at work, as weird
Mhm.
as that sounds. And so for me, when it comes to certain people and certain personalities, I don't really like meeting with them in my office because to me it's just kind of like a different vibe and feel, and it's a very different kind of, for lack of a better term, aura that winds
Mhm.
up becoming that winds up entering my office. And so for me, it's like, let's go meet somewhere else, like. So when she was at my work the other day, she just saw me constantly disappear, and I would
Running.
come back for like 2 seconds, and
And
then
somebody else would be taking her somewhere
yes,
else.
somebody else would come in and like pull me out, and I'm just like, okay, here we go. So finally, at the end of the day, when I actually, for the first time that entire day, had sat down because I have a sit stand desk at work,
Mhm.
and I looked over at her and I go, "This is why I have a sit stand desk." And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, "You don't even sit." And I was like, "Yeah." So the first time for that day where I had finally gotten to sit down, it was literally an hour before we were
I
gonna
don't
leave.
even think it was a full hour.
It wasn't.
It's like
And
45 minutes before
yeah.
we left.
So finally I had sat down for the first time today, and she just looks over at me. She goes, "Yeah." She goes, "I see why you're very hard to get a hold of at the end of like during the workday." And I'm like, "Yeah, this is my life." Like like it's so busy all the time that I'm just
Yeah.
like all constantly on the move. And it's funny because she even saw it too. I'm always in heels because of,
Mhm.
my position at work. I try to dress more professionally. So um it was funny because she goes, "And you do it all in heels?" She goes, "No." And she just like
I was like, I don't envy you.
yeah, she doesn't envy me. And so, yeah, for me, it's just having that like good support system of understanding that, when I get that extrovert burnout, I guess you can say that, like, it's good to have the people in my life, and especially when it comes to holidays too, is that they understand, okay, she's just unwinding, she's recentering, she just needs to go through her time. I'll ask her something if I need to ask her, but
Yep.
I mean, they're like, it's good to have that level of support that just knows, okay, you're not just being a jerk, you're just exhausted. Like after the Christmas party yesterday, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
Like I do not need to people for a good 3 weeks at least, but
Yeah.
I have to people for 3 weeks, and so by the time January rolls around, I'm just like, I'm
I'm
gonna
done.
bury myself in whatever video game I feel like, and the world will never hear from me. Which, granted, there are quite a few video games that I plan on playing come 2024. The world really will never hear from me unless you're catching my streams. Then at that point, then
Then,
we're gonna be playing
yeah.
video games together. But yeah, I need that time. Like it's super important for me to get that shutdown,
Mhm.
which for you it's a negative. For me, it's like, no, it's a good thing. Like I need that shutdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, if I'm talking, there's chances are I'm probably okay. If I'm not talking,
Probably not okay.
probably not.
Yeah.
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 I get that because, you were saying like how you have to have a good support system and stuff. And I am the type of person that, unless it's Adela, really, it's kind of the only person, um, I will not go to somebody and be like, "Hey, I'm upset.
Yeah,
Like,
I won't do. Yeah.
I'm sad. I just don't. I'm not gonna put that on somebody else." Now, if somebody directly asks me, like, "Are you okay?" Depending on the person, there are a few who I will actually be honest with and tell them that I am, not okay. I'll just be like, honestly, not great. Um, and then it can go into whatever situation from there. But unless it's Adela, I'm not gonna tell somebody that
Yeah.
I'm not okay.
I will flat out lie. Like even I was talking to a family member the other day and they told me, "I'm sorry that I don't check in on you. I know it probably has to be hard because you seem like you have everything together and it's
Mm-hmm.
not fair of me to assume that." And I still couldn't say, "Oh no, it like oh I would like you to check in." I was like, "I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm okay. I
yeah,
promise."
yeah. I've been
Yeah.
told several times by different people that they don't have to worry about me because I have everything together.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but do I?
Yeah.
Or is that just what you see because that's all I want you to see?
Exactly.
Yep. That's
Because I can guarantee you, I don't even know where my ducks are to put them in a row.
Yeah.
They're just gone.
Yeah.
They're scattered about.
versus
So
my
if anybody finds one of my ducks and you would like to return it, please do, because they're just gone.
versus
Yeah.
my ducks are in a perfect row. They're color coded and they've all in alphabetical order by name. And then if one of them moves out of line, I'm like, nope.
Do it right back.
And over here, it's like, what ducks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What ducks?
Yeah. But in all honesty, when I say all of my ducks are in a row, I mean that's also not really 100% true all the time. I mean, you guys have seen me at points where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on right now. And
Mhm.
a lot of it too is just that is the persona that we give. And especially as people like us who are in a position, you know, where we have a or not really following, but a support and community base that look to us for things like this. It's um it's one of those things where, you know, a lot of the perception tends to be, oh, they're happy, they've got things figured out. It really isn't. And I think that's why we like the format of our podcast so well is we just we pick our topic and we go. Like we don't
Yeah.
script any of this. We pick the bullet points that we're going to talk about, but we don't ever
It's
script
very
everything. It's
improvised.
very
Mhm.
improvised.
And this
because
is just us talking, and this is how we talk.
It's just us
All the
being
time.
us.
It's
yeah,
us being
it's
us.
very reflective
Good
of our name.
plug.
Yeah,
Good
very good plug. Um, but and that's the biggest thing about it is like these situations are very real. They're very us. They're very what took place in our experiences, that it shouldn't be scripted. It should be a very real moment and real
Mhm.
talk, because the reality is if we want the community to feel supported and feel like they can talk openly about these things, we in turn need to do the same. And so for us, it's very important that you guys are getting the raw sense of this, which truthfully does also cause our episodes to be a little longer than we like sometimes. But you know, at the end of the day, if it's beneficial to you because you hear us talking about it, we're all for it, and that's what we
Yeah.
want. The whole goal of this podcast is so you could be you know, and we named it just us being us because that literally is the premise. Is
Yeah.
this is just who we are. What you see with us is what you get. There really
Yeah.
isn't any kind of filter behind this. But
Well, there's a filter. It's just
Mm-hmm. There has to be.
I mean, it's
To
just
make it
it's
appropriate.
mostly
Yeah.
it's mostly the appropriate filter because we do have different audience ages, and we didn't want to isolate anybody from this. So we did unfortunately put more of a profanity filter on this show. But I mean, truthfully, it other than that, it really is mostly just
unfiltered.
unfiltered, raw conversation that we would have even just us sitting here if you take the microphones away. But
Oftentimes, a lot of the topics that we even come up with that we want to talk about happen from us just sitting down and talking.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, because we'll
That's how
hit a
this-
conversation.
That's
Yeah.
how this whole idea
Yep.
came about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And truthfully, that is one thing that everybody has to keep in mind. And I want to emphasize this because when you look at influencers and streamers and models and actors and actresses, you have this big perception of their life being perfect. The biggest thing about it, though, they make it look that way. You don't
Yeah.
know what's going on with them behind the scenes. You don't know what the day-to-day struggles are with them. And I think it's very important to keep in mind because and I know a couple people that kind of have this mentality because taking me for example, I'm at a very good place in my life. I'm very young in my career. I'm super successful. I have a really nice house. I have nice vehicles. You know, I'm not struggling. Let me be fully transparent on that. I'm not struggling. I'm in a very good place in my life for being 33 years old. Um, so a lot of the times, the mentality that gets looked at with me is I have everything together.
yeah.
The reality is I don't. I am the furthest thing from having everything together. Half the time, I feel like the position I'm in is actually more overwhelming because of all the things I have. It's a lot more responsibility than somebody at my age would normally have. And it's one of those things where because I have that level of responsibility, I then had to go and adjust to making sure I can keep up with that level of responsibility. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I'm not grateful for being where I'm at. I definitely am, and I am very blessed, and a lot of my hard work has gotten me to this point in life, and that's the
Hmm.
biggest thing is I worked and earned everything I've gotten in life.
Yeah.
And I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth, and to me, I think that it it's caused a very sense of discipline and appreciation for the things that I have in my life. I don't take any of that for granted. And I'm very big on giving and, using my finances to give back and give to people that I care about. Like I'm not, and you two can vouch for this, is I never worry about the money I spend on my friends and family. I'm always like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, no, I got this. Like, don't worry about it. And it's funny because we've had this conversation once and they quickly learned that they never ask this question again with me. Is if I ask you, are you hungry? And I'm ordering food and you tell me I don't have money, I literally look at you and go, "Did I ask you if you had money?" Like I never like hearing that phrase
Yeah.
because to me, I'm the type of person that if I can't spend the money on you, I won't offer.
Yeah.
Like to me that's just I don't want to even put that position out there. So a lot of the times when I'm asking for that kind of thing, it's because I'm planning ready to pay for you to treat you, that kind of thing. Um and a lot of the times, that's normally the conversation that happens. So, like, the stigma with our friendship and the way that we've kind of formed it is a lot of the times when we go out to eat, it's just if I'm the one buying, they know by now, okay, you don't even ask how you want me to pay you back. But if there gets a point where you pay me back, I'm clear about it up front,
Yeah.
because it's a larger purchase than what normally I can afford just going out
Yeah.
there and things like that. And it's made very clear and it's always a discussion, but like to me, that kind of thing goes back into me having my life and my ducks in a row is that I know where not to overstep my bounds with things, and I'm very meticulous and I have plans for, if I'm going to do this. Like if I know we're going to hang out or I know I'm going to go out, I do put that pressure on myself to, okay, well, maybe I'll buy something here for everybody or I'll buy drinks or,
Hmm.
stuff like that. And I prepare myself for that. But that kind of whole mentality of that responsibility to me is it's something I put on myself. And that's kind of where I feel like it's just an added pressure to me, but it's funny because I know you guys never expect it, like
Yeah.
you guys are always like, "Do you want me to pay you back for this?" And like I always give you that dirty look of you did not just ask me
I've
that
quit
question.
asking.
Yeah, you've quit asking. She will still ask on occasion because she's not used to it yet,
Yeah.
but I mean, the reality is it's just that's just how I feel about things,
Yeah.
Like I like that sense of taking care of the people in my life, and if I have the financial means to do it, I'm going to do it.
Hmm.
Like it's just who I am as a person. But at the same time, looking at the outside in, people would look at me and be like, "Oh, she's got money, she's got friends, she's got nice clothes, she's got this, she's got that." No. If you look at most of my outfits and like the way that I buy, I'm a bargain shopper. I like to look expensive. I'm
Not
not.
spent.
I am
Yeah.
not expensive at all. I am the type of person that I will buy 12 dresses for $150. Like I know how to dress myself. But that's also the presentation I put out there. Like people don't realize that the outfit I'm wearing that day cost me maybe $30, And it's just unless, of course, you're really that kind of level of like fashion where you can spot those kind of things, so, like just right off the bat. Like it's the presentation I put myself in. So a lot of the times when you're looking at people on the outside in, and I'm so sorry, I did not mean to make that segment seem like I was bragging or anything. That is not the case at all. Um, it was just me kind of more explaining this route of things. Is that when I put that presentation out there, people will look at me and be like, "Oh, she's probably really high maintenance. Like she always has her hair done, her nails done. She wears these really fashion level outfits." No, the
No.
reality is like I know how to present myself. So when it comes to putting up that wall, that barrier, that line I'm not willing to cross, you will never know those personal details about me. So even with our community, as you're looking at me and you're like, oh man, she seems like she has everything together. The reality is I don't. You
Yeah.
know, it's just it's the positive outlook I'm trying to give you about my life. Because the other half of those things is that the things I'm not willing to put out there, it goes back to that line of I'm not going to make my baggage your baggage. And I don't expect you to make your baggage my baggage because we are not at that level of friendship. Can we get to that level of friendship? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you need to, we need to work to get there. You're not just going to get that right away. So, like, when it comes to posting on social media or reels or anything along those lines, I'm very particular about what I put out there. So when you have that stigma of somebody that is, oh, their life's all put together, it's perfect, like you
Mhm.
were saying with your ducks in a row, you can't find them.
Yeah, they're gone. I don't know.
The the biggest thing about it though is that people will look at you, and they'll look at you, oh, you have everything together. No, that's just a presentation I've given you.
Yeah.
And unless you are really close to that person, you will never ever know that about the real struggles they do. So when it comes to that kind of thing, don't be afraid to be open about those struggles is really the biggest advice that I was getting to is you have to be willing to be honest and admit and say, "Hey, I'm struggling." Obviously, do it to the right people. Don't just go up
Yeah.
to some random stranger and be like, "My life sucks." But
That sucks.
yeah,
Bye.
yeah, it's like, okay. But you know, take that time to acknowledge that not everything is going to be perfect in your life, but at the same time, also look at the good that you do have because
Mhm.
there's a lot of things, like for instance, my friends, my family, that I can safely say I have, other people don't.
Yeah.
And to me, that is so important to be grateful for the good that you do have in your life, that when you put out that presence and that stigma of, oh, my life is so perfect, to me, you're putting out the genuinely good parts about your life. Like, I hate the kind of people that post and they're like, went here, it's a totally fake thing. And you're giving people this persona that you traveled the world, you never really left your house. I
Yeah.
hate that kind of thing. And to me, I like genuine people. I like genuine companies. I like people that that are honest about how the way their things in life are going.
Mhm.
Some of the times when I post, it's a lot of me just in the good in my life, but at the same time, I'm also not afraid to post a quote that reflects my mental state.
Yeah.
Because to me, you also have to know not everything in my life is going to be perfect. Like and sometimes, I'll post like when I went to go see Phil Wickham in concert, I had posted a picture of him in concert singing my favorite Christian song from him. And I had talked about my depression in that post and basically what that song meant to me and how it
Mhm.
helped me with my depression and things like that. Because I'm not afraid to put that out there because people need to understand that I'm still a human. Like I go through the goods and the bads just like everybody else. And so I'm hoping that with our community, especially, that the good with the bad is something that's there, and I want this to be a very uplifting space. I want it to be like people can talk about things. Obviously, I don't want this place to be nothing but drama and, just negative things. I
Yeah.
want people to be encouraging and uplifting and just be a good safe like place for people to come and feel better. Kind of like what you were saying about Neil's
The-
tier
the
3
tier
chat,
three, yeah.
because it needs to be a place where people can get away and unwind and just feel good about life again and do it with people that are sharing that same sentiment. So, yeah, it's very important in that case.
Yeah. I've had.
Did you get tired of your earrings?
They were uncomfortable. Thought that they were, but I didn't want to spend like a whole 5 minutes readjusting them. So
That's fair.
That's fair.
they're softening.
I have been through very big changes in my life recently, as has been mentioned here in this episode and maybe the last couple. I'm not really sure, but it's not something that I'm ready to talk about and share to the world yet. But one of these days on an episode, we will go through that. So yeah, it. I feel like I was on this track, like going through a maze, and it looked like my life was perfect, and I had all my stuff together, and my ducks were in their row where they're supposed to be. Um, and then it just like dead end. There's nowhere to go in that maze,
And then your ducks scattered.
and my ducks ran away. Now I have to find all my ducks in this maze.
That's fair.
So I don't know. I also have this fear that people are going to look at me like, why would you give up such a good thing that you had? You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that these people don't know what happened, but you guys do. And it's just it's a, why would you take that many steps backwards? And
And I mean, I can relate to that opinion without really giving anything away because obviously you know very well and you know that I experienced the same situation you're dealing
Mhm.
with now. Almost identical except with one major factor in that, and we'll touch base on that on the episode that you already talked about it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing about it is that fear, it's not on you. It's on
Yeah.
people looking at you. And that's their opinion. And they're allowed to have their opinion. People
Yeah.
are they have every right to have whatever opinion they want. Nobody can argue that. Like, but the reality is it's how you take their opinion.
Yeah.
You can either take it with a grain of salt or you can take it personally. And
everything hits me personally right now.
yeah, but that's the big thing is that you have to then put up your wall and your filter and decide, is this something I should take personally or is this something that they're reflecting on to me? And take it with a grain of salt because to me, and that's I think also why I'm such a confident person in general is because I've gotten over that stigma of whatever it is that you think about me. Like, you either accept me for who I am or or we're just not going to get along. That's
Yeah.
okay because in return I give you that same level of respect. You are who you are and I'm going to love you or hate you for it. And it depends on the way that you and me will interact in that scenario. If we're just two personalities that just don't mesh, then we don't mesh. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with that. And we go about our lives and we move on. Like, it's not that big of a deal, you know? I never really understand why people are so upset about, oh, this person doesn't like me. And like,
Yeah.
it's just, okay, so what? You know? And it's just like, oh, well, I want them to like me. Why? What good does it do if they don't like you? And so I'm very strong-headed in that opinion where it's like, if you like me, great. If you don't, great. You know, there
Yeah.
is no lean towards one or the other for me. Granted, also doesn't mean I don't try to get along with people. I definitely do. But when it comes to the actual opinion of, if you think something negative about my life that you've never been in my shoes for, you
Mhm.
don't know the reasons behind it, and you haven't had that conversation with me about it,
Mhm.
and you're just going to automatically judge my position and what I'm going through, I've already discredited your opinion. I don't care.
Yeah.
I really don't care. And I don't care who it comes from. And I mean, it could come from Bugby for all I care. But if she's just automatically going to judge my situation without understanding what's really going on, your opinion does not matter to me. Because it's
Which
just,
I would never do.
yeah,
by the way.
you would never do it.
Just an example.
Yeah, it's just an example. But that's how strongly I feel about that because your opinion is so important to
Mhm.
me that I hold that opinion very dear and very treasured. So
Mhm.
like to me, I am so strong in that resolution and that belief that if you don't really know me all that well and you're willing to just judge me like that, I'm sorry. I just no, like I'm not going to put up with it because it taints my mental health to put that pressure on myself based off of something you said that you don't really know about, you know? And it just never makes sense to me because again, and I guess that kind of goes back to my OCD and the way of thinking things. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You now have this negative opinion of me. I don't need you in my life. Like, and I know it sucks because some people will view that as, oh, you're just so easily willing to burn a bridge. No, I'm not. Because I'm not the one that set that bridge on fire. Because if you really cared about me, if you really took the time to want to get to know why I'm feeling the way I do about something or why I chose to make the decision I made, you as my friend or somebody that is in my life that I care about will take the time to have that conversation with me.
Yeah.
So when you sit there and you automatically judge and you accuse somebody of that, you've officially lit that bridge on fire. And I say it every time. I'm not a person that burns bridges. I blow them up.
Yeah.
Because my biggest thing is that if I blow up a bridge, it means we're done. I will walk away from you and there is zero going back.
Yeah.
But I'm also the person that is my last ditch effort and resort. Like, I have tried everything in my power to make it work with you, and you blew it every step of the way.
Yeah.
And so to me, bridge is blown, it's cinders, there is nothing left and no way to rebuild.
Yeah.
Like, there is a giant crater where that bridge used to be. There is no rebuilding it.
Yeah.
And so if I cut somebody off from my life, it's because they have made those calls. And I'm just not willing to put up with it. I'm very protective of my mental health and who I allow to affect it.
Yeah.
And trust me, it is not easy. And it took me forever to get there. But again, I have a really good support system. Like, it ties back into the holiday conversation where having to tell my friends and family for the first time that I'm like, hey, I'm not buying physical gifts. This is what we're doing for Christmas from now on. Like, either get behind it or don't.
Yeah.
And I was really lucky that the people in my life, with the exception of one or two people, which I choose not to spend the holidays with anymore, basically did not accept that opinion. And so I don't really spend the holidays with them and it's not that I'm not friends with them anymore. It's just, I just don't spend the holidays with them because they can't accept that level of opinion for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I just was like the dictator in that situation. It was a mutual conversation, and I let them know exactly where I was coming from and they were understanding. But, it's just now that expectation has been set that, we're not going to put that pressure on each other. But it goes back to that mental health case where a lot of my opinions are so strong because I also choose to surround myself with the people that is willing to support, but also tell me like, hey, maybe you should reconsider this. So that kind of does go into a lot of it too. Like, you need a good support system. Like, that's really the main point of it.
Yeah. The big thing for me this holiday season has been judgment from my family, I guess, over my whole situation. Especially Thanksgiving, I hadn't really seen any of my family after things had happened. So just going to that and being asked questions, or then once everybody knew and I'd see people kind of like hush hush talking, were they talking about me? I don't know, but it still just made me feel like they were. As far as somebody that I don't know or I'm not that close to, it's not going to bother me. But when it comes from somebody that, I care about, it's their opinion matters to me. And it's really hard for me to get over what their opinion is. Oh gosh, the boys are going to fight. Dogs.
Speaking of opinion, if there's anybody in our group of friends, like, don't get me wrong, I have a temper. Like, you definitely don't want me getting mad at you. Like, that's the worst feeling in the world. But you know who surprisingly outranks me in that? No. Her. Rebecca.
Sure?
Yeah. Cause okay, like when you get mad,
Mhm.
you and me are willing to talk it out. Like, we'll have that conversation. Granted, I don't enjoy it. But when she gets mad at us, it's like a guilt trip. That's what makes
Okay,
it
that's
worse.
fair.
Yeah, that's what makes it worse. Like, you legitimately feel guilty for her being mad at you.
That's
Like,
fair.
you and me, like, we get mad, we don't like it. Like, that's the
No.
biggest difference between us and her, is that you're mad. Yeah, you're upset. You legitimately feel bad. Like, we can talk about it and move on. Her, you feel like you got to give her the world plus the galaxy in order to make it up to her for her getting mad at you. Like,
No,
that
I
is
just-
the worst.
I just shut
feeling.
down.
Like
I just shut
and
down.
that-
I get
that-
real
That's
quiet.
why it makes us
Yeah,
feel guilty.
that's why it makes us feel guilty. It's because like your anger isn't the type of anger like ours where we're willing to duke it out. It's yours. It's like we gotta really make it up to her. Like we screwed up. Like it's like that episode from The Hangover where or the scene from The Hangover where he's on the phone and he's like, "Oh yeah, so we forked up." Like it's just like it's that phone call that you're just like, God dang it, I really screwed up. And mind you, we'll tell you about the story real quick before we end this episode. So she winds up getting mad at us because she has a very big excitement and love to seeing first time reactions to things that makes her happy. And so we were playing through Baldur's Gate, and basically, as we all know, Bugby has not seen the full Astarion content line. Well, Bugby has seen parts of my playthrough here and there, and so we had agreed, okay, we're gonna play a playthrough together, so Rebecca can go ahead and experience Bugby's first time romancing Astarion. And we were just like we were like, yeah, okay, we'll do it. But at the same time, in my head, Bugby's seen some of the beginning stuff because she was on Discord, she was watching my playthroughs, we were streaming content, things like that. And so Bugby had kind of gone through like a really bad like weekend, like this kind of kicked off some of her life changes type of thing. And then Rebecca was out of town. So,
visiting a friend
yeah,
she hadn't
visiting
seen in a
friend.
very long time.
Yeah. And so at this point, I was like, hey, like, I get that, Bugby's having a really tough time. Like, I'm just going to go ahead, try to cheer her up. And this is the one time I have agreed to share my Astarion romance with somebody else, and I'm actually playing Baldur's Gate. Like, these two know that if I'm playing Baldur's Gate with you, Astarion's mine. There is zero arguing that. Like, sorry, go find somebody else to romance. Again, OCD. But that was my biggest thing was I was like, okay, I was like, this is obviously a big life thing. I will relinquish Astarion at this one moment in time, and you can romance him. So the parts that I took her through were like the Nautiloid and then just picking him up on the beach for the first time. And it wasn't anything she really hadn't seen before. And so I was like, okay, I don't really think she's gonna mind this. But then she wound up getting an approval rate with Astarion so freaking quickly that she wound up getting the bite scene.
Yeah.
And that was kind of where then Rebecca got angry because she hadn't seen that real quick. Or she hadn't seen
I hadn't seen that
She hadn't
scene.
seen that before. So that's kind of where things went downhill. And so immediately after she got that bite scene, I was like, hey, we got to stop
cut it
playing
off.
because if we keep going, she's going to miss a lot of your first reactions to that kind of stuff. And so we told Rebecca about like what had happened, and then she gets mad at us. And she was like, I thought you guys were going to wait for me. And we're like, well, we were, but I was like, I was just trying to get her through the Nautiloid and like the beginning stages because that part sucks to have to play through every single freaking time. Like, Larian, please add a skip Nautiloid feature.
Yeah. Well, and at this point, I hadn't told Rebecca like what had been going on with me because she was visiting a friend that she hadn't seen in a long time, and I didn't want to put my burden of that
Right.
on you when you were having a good time with your friends. So I was just waiting until you got back to tell you what was going on. And so she didn't know
Yeah.
that part either. It was just a whole thing.
Yeah.
Please
And
continue.
so then she's like, I thought you guys were going to wait for me. And I was like, yeah, we were. I was just trying to blow her through the Nautiloid. I was like, it was honestly accidental that she got an approval rating that fast because not even me or Rebecca have gotten an approval rating that fast to where you get the bite scene like right away.
Yeah.
And so she got upset, and I told her, I was like, we cut off the game immediately after that. I was like, we're not continuing without you because we don't want you to miss out on those things. And I didn't really think she would get upset about it because, like I said, we were just trying to blow through the Nautiloid half of it. But no, she got upset. And she just disappeared from the group chat, and we were trying to like talk to her, we were trying to ask her something, trying to make sure she's okay. She's like not answering us. So then I get to a point where I was like, fork this, I'm just gonna go text her. So I text her and I'm like, hey, are you mad at us?" And then I get the whole response of, "I'm trying not to be, but this is kind of the way I'm feeling about it." And I was like, and now I feel like I need to give her the moon, the galaxy, the stars, maybe Pluto. I don't know if she still considers that a
planet.
planet. Like, I'm just
a
like,
planet.
yeah, I'm just
Planet.
like, I feel like I need to also find a way to give her all of Faerun at the same time. Like, I'm going through this, like, how am I? Oh, sorry, language. Um,
Beep.
beep. I was like, I'm sitting there going through like the whole, oh crap. Now, like, how do I make this up to her? And I'm like legitimately feeling guilty about her being mad at me, which
Yeah.
again, I'm such a strongly opinionated person that I'm like, half the time I'm like, I don't care. You be mad. Like, but with her, no, it's the worst feeling in the world when she gets mad at you. Like,
It's almost like I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is
That is
exactly what it is.
exactly what it is. Like, I do not like it when you get mad. But that's the thing. She's not disappointed. She's actually mad, but it
Yeah.
feels like disappointment. Yeah, I don't.
And I mean, I reached out to her too and was like, you know, hey, I'm really sorry. I didn't realize, and I really didn't realize that she wanted to see like that part of that. I thought we were doing a different. I thought it was a playthrough like we were all three doing together. I don't know. I was confused. There's been so many playthroughs that we've talked about, but so I told her and apologized and I was so sorry and I was like, as soon as we got anything, we stopped because I was like, no,
Yeah.
Rebecca's not here, and so then I kind of filled her out on what was going on and told her I was like, hey, I didn't want to, burden you with any of this while you were with your friend. I just wanted you to have a good time. I'm like, but this is what's going on, and Adela was just trying to cheer me up and get my mind off things, and
Needless to say, she
we've
forgave us.
figured it out. We're
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, needless to say, she forgave us, but we now have a running joke that we do the things to purposely not make her mad at us because it's scary when she gets mad at us.
I'm just quiet.
You're like, I don't know how I'm scary.
like there's no yelling. There's no nothing.
And that's the worst part. Is like because again, like with me and Bugby, like when we get mad at each other, like we'll talk it out, we'll duke it out, but like with you, it's just like it's that sense of just pure disappointment, and you're just like, God, she's so angry, she doesn't even want to yell at us. Like, I mean, it's like that's a different level of anger, and I feel like the people listening to this, like, or watching the YouTube, can agree to that. Like, silent anger is the worst anger ever. Like, I do not do well with
I
it.
will say, in all honesty, with the majority of people, if I get angry, it's silent. I'm not even
Yeah.
gonna put my energy into it.
For me, it's because you guys have not seen it. I have a terrible temper.
It's okay, so do I.
It is a vicious
And I have to
temper.
go away and I have to breathe and I have to calm down, or
My
I'm gonna say
silence
things
is
that
so
I don't want to say.
exactly.
And I'm gonna say really mean things, really nasty things, and really hurt people that I don't want to hurt. So I go away and I sit down. However, with Adela, I don't have that issue of saying things that I don't want to say or whatever. We mesh so well together that it's easy for us to talk things out.
Yeah. My silence is mostly just I need to focus on what I need to say, and then I will come back and say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need to put words in my head because the words that are currently in my head are not relevant to the situation. They're just hurtful. So I'm gonna go somewhere else and calm down.
Versus me, everybody here knows when I'm angry, that temper flies. There is no calming me down once I'm mad. Like, oh my God. Like, the second you get me mad, you better clear the room because it's like a nuke's about to go off. Like, and that's my biggest thing is like, it does take a lot for me to hit that level of anger where, like, dishes are flying at people, which Kuma has a pretty funny story on that. And it was me being in a heated argument with my spouse, and Kuma was unfortunately just kind of doing the dishes right there, and I was like, and because I do this weird thing that when I'm angry, I'm cleaning at the same time.
Rage cleaning.
Rage cleaning.
It's the best cleaning.
like as me and my husband are sitting there just kind of having this conversation of like, and it's a heated argument. I'm like cleaning the house at the same time, and I don't know why I do it, but I do. I rage clean. And so I had thrown this like dish in the sink, but I threw it harder than I was expecting to, just being angry. So I basically wound up throwing it at Kuma, and the dish just shattered. And he just like turns around and he's like, "Why am I getting caught in the crossfire?" And I'm just like looking at him like, "I'm sorry." I'm like, "That wasn't meant to be thrown at you." And I'm just like, and then I just go back to like my normal argument. And so and again, like it's never anything like physically violent or anything like that. Like I was just kind of rage cleaning that, like my strength kind of got the better of me, and it threw into the sink. And so I was sitting there, and it was kind of funny because when I get to that level of angry, there is no calming me down until I've worked through that calm down. So when it comes to me getting angry, these girls know very well we're gonna go that way. Like they're like there's no talking to her right now. So we're gonna leave it. Good luck. You did this to yourself, and
As
Godspeed.
as I tell my 6-year-old, you are too upset to have this discussion. Please go to your room, grab your blankies, sit down. I will be there in 5 minutes, and we will have this conversation.
Except
Stella.
yeah, except with me, it's you feel sorry for the poor soul that it's literally about to receive my wrath is more like it. Like it is that level of like angry in those contexts where it's like you're about to get chewed out and you know it. But yeah, for the most part, it's like when I'm angry, there's no getting out of it. Like you know I'm angry. Which again doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it's not a pretty sight.
It takes a lot to get me mad.
Yeah,
I'm really good about just letting things roll off my back.
true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with what I do, I have to do that.
Oh yeah, your spy job.
Yeah.
That we're not supposed to know about.
Yeah, we do.
Dun, 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 dun. That's probably copyright.
I don't own the rights to that.
Full disclaimer.
Let me just stop that right now.
Well, anyways, guys. So overall, the biggest thing with this episode and takeaway wise, we really hope that you guys find a good support system, and even hopefully you find it within our community, and that overall you just feel like when you get overwhelmed, when you get stressed, when you kind of feel like something like the holidays is going to be overwhelming for you, reach out to people, and also don't be afraid to take that first step. Like don't I guess my biggest thing is don't rely on people like to make things happen for you. Like go out and get it yourself. Like you are not a burden. You are not, especially to the people in your life, like they want to hear from you. And to be honest, any relationship, it's a two-way street. So, if people don't reach out to you, reach out to them. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And at the same time, a lot of the times, most people, they just don't reach out because they're just busy. I.e. me. I'm one of those people.
True.
But
Or they have ADHD and they have
Mhm.
what's called object permanence, and a person is also an object. And
It
we
is.
sometimes just forget that you exist.
If I don't see you every day, I just forget that you're there.
yeah. And so there's a lot of underlying factors a lot of the times why people sometimes won't reach out. But again, it's a two-way street. It can't always be the person reaching out to you. You also got to put in effort to reach out to them. So, find your people, find your support. I'm lucky enough I've got like Huggins, Bugby, like wait, you're the same. You're the same.
We
You
are
have
the
so
same
many
person.
nicknames. Ohio, this is your fault.
It's Ohio's fault.
It's Ohio's fault. Bugby, Kicks, Red Rebecca, whatever the fork you want to call her.
Huggins, Kroger.
Yeah, Kroger. But I still don't understand why my name is Kroger, and
I don't understand why my
think-
name is Huggins, but
I honestly don't think I'm ever gonna find out, and that's okay.
I don't. Yeah, it's fine.
You're
But
a grocery store.
I am a grocery store, but I'm a good grocery store. I'm just kidding. Anyways, So overall, though, like I'm lucky enough that I have these two ladies in my life. You know, like my brother Kuma, who is obviously the producer of this podcast, and my husband, my parents. There's a lot of really good support in my life. So I'm very blessed in that aspect, but at the same time, I also had to find this support. There's certain levels of support, for example, I will not go to my mother for. Like, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely not.
I love my mother. She did a fantastic job in raising me. She is definitely a mother I am proud to call my mother. But there are certain things in support systems I will not go to her for because she just she can be brutal sometimes, and there are times I don't need brutal, you know.
Yeah.
So again, and don't be afraid to have multiple levels of support. Like when I just want to feel good and just, need a pick me up and just be around a bright personality, Rebecca or Ohio are like two of my great friends that I do that with, and not that Bugby
I will
isn't
say I'm in
not
that
not that not that you're not a positive sunshine in my life. It's just like that's literally their
No, I
personality.
know.
Like they can never, because the other thing is that
It's my mask.
the other thing is you and me will talk about more serious things I won't talk
Yeah,
about
that's
with them.
true.
So
we
it's
get deep.
yeah, we do get deep. So I mean, but that's the advantage of the support system with you is
Yeah.
that I go deep with you. You get all the gory details. Like they get enough detail to where they know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just again like I have multiple support channels, and don't be afraid to go find that for yourself. Like you're not betraying anybody, you're not making one friend less important. And as much as I joke about Bugby being my favorite, like the truth is I view them equally, and I have a love for them that is equal. And for me, it's like, but at the same time, they have their supports that they are comfortable with and that they also help me through just the same way I'm that for them on different levels. So don't be afraid to find those support, guys. Like you guys need it. And truthfully, if you can find that within our community, great. We're happy. That's what we want. We want to build that connection. And again, making sure people are not alone. Um, and so we hope that really this gave you some good insight on different levels of support, and hopefully you have some good ideas for the holidays, i.e., like taking stuff off the wall, putting it in a tote as you get your Christmas decorations out.
Blew my mind. Telling ya. I can literally have just a seasonal tote,
Yeah.
and then I can just rotate things out. No, because
Yeah.
I would need more than one tote.
I have two. Two totes do exist. You don't need to just have the one.
No,
We
I
have
was
technology.
thinking like I would have one just seasonal tote, and I would yes, and I would take
Oh, you were gonna put all of your
all
season?
of my season.
No,
I'm like that's not gonna work. I'm
Nope.
gonna need more than one tote.
Yeah, no, nope. I have Halloween totes. I have Christmas totes because that's all I decorate for. And actually, even then, I don't really decorate for them.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, no, Christmas is really the only one I decorate for. My
Christmas
Halloween
is my
stuff
big
is.
one.
Honestly, I think I bought the Halloween
Fall.
stuff for my work.
I don't do Halloween decorations very much, but I do fall decorations.
Yeah, I don't even do those.
I'm a
Christmas.
spooky bee.
But yeah, so I mean, again, we'll figure out your tote situation later.
Okay, sounds
But-
great.
Anyways, so overall, guys, we hope you enjoyed this episode. We really look forward to next week and kind of whatever topic we decide on that by then. But just remember,
Even on the holidays, you are always loved.
You are never alone.
and this
And
is just us being us.